Welcome to Virtual Kala Series, a virtual fundraiser to help the families in need during these tough times in association with Insta Paint Social. So extend your help and enjoy the performance. Our next artist is Anne. She's gonna tell us some short stories. Let's hear them out.
Hi everyone, this is Anne performing under the literature category for the Virtual Kala series. The Virtual Kala series are doing a great job by raising funds to provide necessities for those in need along with Insta Paint Social. Please do contribute as per your wish for the cause. And now I'll begin with my program. So when I got to know that the theme for this series is rain, I quickly opted for short stories because I have a lot of reasons for that. I feel that instant gratification is governing our thinking and living, and attention span has become a major concern in this fast paced world. So I believe that short stories, they provide the same level of excitement and satisfaction given the time constraints, and because of that, they cater to all age groups, and they also stick to one particular idea or theme, which makes it more simpler and not as complex as a novel, or as subjective or as vague as a poem. So now I'll be reading out a short story that I have written, and the name of this short story is Light as a Raindrop. With elated eyes, I peeped out of my bedroom window. I couldn't see anyone because of the persistent rain. After taking a quick look outside, I smiled a little to myself. I had a strong feeling about this since morning, and I was sort of prepping for this. My phone kept vibrating with new mails, new texts, new messages, but I conveniently chose to ignore them all. So, the very first paragraph of this story, I think it sets the mood for the entire story, and the mood is very relaxed, very calm. It starts on a happy note, okay? And I feel that this person is geared up to embrace the rainy weather. So, he's quite happy to see that the streets are empty, there is probably no one on the road, and everything is still and silent. I slowly moved to my white floral velvety chair and quickly adjusted my pillow onto it, then sat in a ruminative mood. My thin blanket was wrapped around me, with my hands exposed so that I could enjoy my incredibly bittersweet black coffee. Yes, so I believe that when we are talking about rains, I think you need to mention hot beverages. I think rain and hot beverages, they go hand in hand. And recently, I've taken a shine towards black coffee, and I really enjoy my evening cup of black coffee. So when I was thinking about rain, I just told myself that I have to mention it somewhere. And the reason I've written my incredibly bittersweet black coffee is so I'm currently drinking this black coffee which is called Nescafe Gold Blend. And after drinking, after just getting one sip of it, it has a sweet aftertaste, and it is very very rich, it has good flavor. So that's the reason I have mentioned it. And yeah, moving on. Soft music was playing in the background as I watched the rain fall into other drops, forming bigger drops and then slide down my window. So the reason I've mentioned soft music is because I'm keeping it open to the readers. Some people might enjoy listening to jazz, some might enjoy listening to good ghazals, some might enjoy listening to old Bollywood music, or some just would enjoy just listening to plain simple music without any lyrics. So that's the reason I've written soft music was playing in the background as I watched the rain fall into other drops, forming bigger drops, and then slide down my window. The aroma of scented candles kissed my nose, giving it a fresh feeling. I stared out into the day from my window. I could see the sun setting. It was definitely raining at the right time. So, like sunset coupled with rains, it's like the perfect scenario. The light bounced off the raindrops that coated my window and shone through them like tiny bright stars that were trapped inside a wild world. So, here, I'm trying to just sort of I've just sort of exaggerated how raindrops, they look when it's raining. The only thing missing was spotting a rainbow. But then again, my phone started buzzing, which made me forget about the view outside. In my mind, I cursed all the inhuman people who knew nothing beyond their work and never took a single moment to enjoy the gifts of nature. Well, I was sunk in this thought for a while as I had quite a few names on my mind. So we all know these people, who are constantly messaging you for work, even when they know that it is a weekend, or even when they know that probably someone is enjoying the weather, and they know that the person is not paying heed to the messages, but they incessantly keep on messaging you. And when you are relaxing, when you're calm, and when you're enjoying your hot beverage, whatever that might be, you don't want this to happen. So that is quite irksome, and but that happens with everyone. And also I've written that I was sunk in this thought for a while as I had quite a few names on my mind. In this fast paced world, I feel that some of us are becoming so mechanical that we don't sit back to enjoy the moment, to cherish the moment. And I believe that we should all do that, at least every now and then. So, yes, moving on. The music was soothing my brain from all the additional work that would be piled on me the following day, as I was resting it out today. I thought to myself, as much as I'm glorifying rain right now, I will probably be playing the blame game on rain tomorrow. So I'm saying, as much as I'm glorifying rain right now, as much as I'm watching the rain from my bedroom window, I'll probably be playing the blame game on rain tomorrow. So here I've just personified rain. But then again, I thought to myself, if rain is stealing my precious time tonight, it just might make me start afresh tomorrow. Okay, so this line, if rain is stealing my precious time tonight, it just might make this, it just might make me start afresh tomorrow. So this is again a very positive tone. And this also reminds me of Scarlet Syndrome. So Gone with the Wind is my favorite novel, and my favorite character in the novel is of course Scarlet. And so there's a very famous quote in which she says that I can't think about it today, I'll think about it tomorrow. And she's very determined, she's very resilient, and she knows that tomorrow will be better than what is happening right now. So I guess that's the reason, I've mentioned, if rain is stealing my precious time tonight, it might just make me start afresh tomorrow. I then poured a little more coffee without getting up. I was well prepared for this. So these lines, that I poured a little more coffee without getting up, I was well prepared for this. That means, I knew that it is going to rain, and I knew that I'll be doing these things. So probably I've kept my coffee on my side table, my earphones, my AirPods, my charger, whatever that I might need, probably a book, a magazine, or whatever I want to do during this time. I've kept it all together, and I've got this, I'm prepared for this. Okay, so Yes, moving on. I put my coffee cup down and stared out again. The rain softly touched the window and hugged the glass, restating the gladness of its presence. After a while, the raindrops settled comfortably on the leaves and revived the trees around, making the trees look greener than ever. So this is what happens, this is the post rain effect. When you look around, this is what you see, that everything seems greener, everything seems prettier, and everything seems refreshed. As the rain vanished after making its presence felt everywhere, I closed my eyes and looked back upon all my happy rain memories. And this is the end of my short story. Okay, and the last line is, as the rain vanished after making its presence felt everywhere. So it is there outside, it is setting the mood inside my bedroom, and the rain is like everywhere, the rain is everywhere. And I'm closing my eyes and thinking about all my happy rain memories. So when I look at this line, happy rain memories, so the first thought that comes to my mind is when we were little kids, and when we got this message that the school is cancelled because of the incessant rains, I used to get overjoyed that I don't have to go to school, I don't have to attend lectures, I won't be getting assignments. So that is quite a happy thought. And I would sit back at home and then take out my lunch box and have the food inside my home, and then call up my friends, because that time when I was in grade 5 or grade 6, I don't think I had a cell phone that time. So I would just call them up and just tell them that how wonderful this is, and just hoping for more holidays. So this is one of my happy rain memories. Then but then again, when I was in Bombay and I was studying in Sophia, so when we are in college, it's it's very rare that the colleges would shut down if it's raining incessantly. And especially in Bombay, the Bombay rains, everything just goes on, it doesn't alter anything, everything just goes on. So I used to be quite depressed about it, that why aren't my classes getting cancelled. So yes. So now another of my happy rain memories is visiting hill stations. So the last time I visited Chikmagalur and it was raining, it was not a very demonic rain, or it wasn't there for a long time, but it was a very nice sort of rain. And just the scenery outside was just so beautiful and just so dramatic. So I guess these are my happy rain memories. Okay. And now going back to the title, the reason I've given this story the title light as a raindrop is because the depth of the rain is something that people always write about, talk about, but the lightness and subtlety of raindrop is always overlooked. And that's the reason I chose this title. And as I mentioned that this is very simple. So there's just one character who is enjoying this weather, okay, and it's very predictable what is going to happen. There's music, there's coffee, there is happy rain memories, there's just procrastinating all the work, okay, and just relaxing. And it starts on a happy note and also ends on a happy note. So it is not at all complex, okay. Yeah, so this was quite a happy short story. But now when I think about rain, I also get these adjectives in my mind. So rain is also associated with dullness. You might feel gloomy, it just might be very bleak, okay. And even I have felt this way, because I just feel very lethargic when it's raining. I somehow just don't want to do what I'm doing. So, and but then I thought about these feelings, and then I felt that these unsettling thoughts, which are attached with the outcome of rain, depict, like, major unpreparedness. Okay, and not having the luxury to enjoy the gift of weather, like, not having the luxury to actually sit back and enjoy the gift of weather. And also, one more thought on rain is that I feel that whatever you are feeling when it's raining, it just, like, amplifies. So if you're in love, you are in love, and everything is moving very slowly. And if you're overjoyed, you become, like, even more overjoyed. Okay, if you're sad, if you're feeling low, so even that continues. So, like, everything becomes very slow, everything just, like, sort of amplifies. So it's just, like, sort of the rain has the ability to, like, heighten those specific emotion. So I think, like, it can, like, just do a lot. So now I'll be reading out a short story by Ruskin Bond. So before I do that, like, let me just tell you that Ruskin Bond is one of my most favorite Indian writers, and his main themes, like, whenever he writes short stories, are nature, ordinary lives, ordinary thinking. Like, it's very relatable. His writing is very relatable, and tales about everyday life are the focus of his work, and not social issues. The only social issue he talks about is nature. And he's also emphasized on the friendly relationship between man and nature, and has brought before us the need for each other, and also talks about their interdependency. Also, I feel that, like, no one understands nature the way he does. And as he has lived in Shimla, Kasauli, Rohtang, and Missouri, like, during his childhood days, like, the way he describes the hill stations and the trees and the flowers and the vegetation, the wildlife, I mean, it's just dramatically beautiful. So I feel that no one understands, like, nature the way he does. And also, I feel that his writing is very, very simple yet succinct. And he creates very clear imagery in our mind. And also, since, like, his stories, like his novels, also comprise of short stories, so again, like, it caters to all age groups. Okay, so two of his stories were turned into a movie. So one was, like, Susanna's Seven Husbands, from the novel Falling in Love Again, and that was turned into Sat Khoon Maaf. And the next one was The Blue Umbrella. Even that was turned into a movie, and The Blue Umbrella is the short story that I'll be reading out today. So it's one of the short stories. So the novel is called The Blue Umbrella, and I'll be reading out one of the short stories. So my favorite novels of Ruskin Bond are The Kite Maker, Falling in Love Again, Time Stops at Shamli, The India I Love, and Looking for Rainbow, My Years with Daddy. So now, before I begin with my short story, The Blue Umbrella was written in 1980. It talks about a small village and this girl, Binya, who owns a blue umbrella, which was given to her as a gift by some foreigner who visited that particular village. And so everyone in the village is fond of that umbrella, and whenever they see it, they are awestruck. Okay, because that sort of umbrella is not to be seen in, like, in a rural setting, because it's blue, it's huge, it's transparent, it's, like, it's just exquisite. And like, she just carries it throughout the novel, like, like a very prized possession. So like, since she's always seen with it, so everyone knows about it. And then some people, like, start getting envious of it, and we'll get to know about this when I start reading my short story. So I'll begin with my short story. The rain sets in, and the sun only made brief appearances. The hills turned a lush green. Ferns sprang up on walls and tree trunks. Giant lilies reared up like leopards from the tall grass. A white mist coiled and uncoiled as it floated up from the valley. It was a beautiful season except for the leeches. Okay, so the first paragraph, like except for the last line, I mean, it creates a very beautiful imagery. And what happens in villages when there is incessant rain, what happens with that? Let's move on to our next paragraph. Every day Binya came home with a couple of leeches fastened to the flesh of her bare legs. They fell off by themselves just as soon as they had had their thimbleful of blood, but you didn't know they were on you until they fell off. And then later the skin became very sore and itchy. Some of the older people still believed that to be bled by leeches was a remedy for various ailments. Whenever Ram Bharosa had a headache, he applied a leech to his throbbing temple. So we can see that the setting is very rural, and the names like Ram Bharosa, Binya, it takes us back to the 80s. And so that's the reason I thought it's a nice getaway, and this is not something that we read now. So yes, 3 days of incessant rain had flooded out a number of small animals who lived in holes in the ground. Binya's mother suddenly found the roof full of field rats. She had to drive them out. They ate too much of her stored up wheat flour and rice. Biju liked lifting up large rocks to disturb the scorpions who were sleeping beneath, and snakes came out to bask in the sun. Binya had just crossed the small stream at the bottom of the hill when she saw something gliding out in the bushes and coming towards her. So now we get to know, that post rain, what all is happening in the village. It was a long black snake. A clatter of loose stones frightened it. Seeing the girl in its way, it rose up, hissing, prepared to strike. The forked tongue darted out. The venomous head lunged at Binya. Binya's umbrella was open as usual. She thrust it forward between herself and the snake, and the snake's hard snout thudded twice against the strong silk of the umbrella. The reptile then turned and slithered away over the red rocks, disappearing in a clump of ferns. Binya forgot about the cows and ran all the way home to tell her mother how she had been saved by the umbrella. So again, the umbrella is holding a lot of significance even in this story. Biju had to put away his books and go out to fetch the cows. He carried a stout stick in case he met with any snakes. First, the summer sun and how the endless rain meant that the umbrella was beginning to fade a little. From a bright blue, it had changed to a light blue. But it was still a pretty thing and tougher than it looked, and Ram Bharosa still desired it. He did not want to sell it, he wanted to own it. He was probably the richest man in the area, so why shouldn't he have a blue umbrella? Not a day passed without his getting a glimpse of Binya and the umbrella, and the more he saw the umbrella, the more he wanted it. So there's a deeper meaning to it. We as human beings, when we see someone is getting some sort of happiness because of a particular thing, we want that for ourselves without even knowing that it won't be of any use to us. We just want to own it. So this is the underlying thought that is prevalent throughout this short story. The schools closed during the monsoon, but this didn't mean that Biju could sit at home doing nothing. Neelu and Gauri were providing more milk than what was required at home. So Binya's mother was able to sell a kilo of milk every day, half a kilo to the schoolmaster and half a kilo to the temple pujari. Biju had to deliver the milk every morning. Ram Bharosa had asked Biju to work in his shop during the holidays, but Biju didn't have time. He had to help his mother with the plowing and transplanting of the right seedlings. So Ram Bharosa employed a boy from the next village, a boy called Rajaram. He did all the washing up and ran various works. He went to the same school as Biju, but the two boys were not friends. Okay, so this also talks about the divide. One day, as Binya passed the shop, twirling her blue umbrella, Rajaram noticed that his employer gave a deep sigh and began muttering to himself. What's the matter? Asked the boy. Oh, nothing, said Ram Bharosa. It's just a sickness that has come upon me, and it's all due to that girl Binya and her wretched umbrella. Why? What has she done to you? Refused to sell me her umbrella. There's pride for you, and I offered her 10 rupees. Perhaps if you gave her 12? But isn't new any longer. It isn't worth 8 rupees now. All the same, I'd like to have it. You wouldn't make a profit on it, said Rajaram. It's not the profit I'm after, wretch. It's the thing itself. It's the beauty of it. And what would you do with it, Babuji? You don't visit anyone. You're seldom out of your shop. Of what use would it be to you? Of what use is a poppy in a cornfield? Of what use is a rainbow? Of what use you are, numbskull? Wretch, I too have a soul. I want the umbrella because I want its beauty to be mine. Rajaram put the kettle on to boil, began dusting the counter all the time muttering, I'm as useful as an umbrella, and then after a short period of intense thought said, What will you give me if I get the umbrella for you? What do you mean? Asked the old man. You know what I mean. What will you give me? You mean to steal it, don't you, you wretch? What a delightful child you are. I'm glad you're not my son or my enemy. But look, everyone will know it has been stolen, and then how will I even flaunt it? You will have to gaze upon it in secret, said Rajaram with a chuckle, or take it into Tehri and have it colored red. That's your problem. But tell me, Babuji, do you want it badly enough to pay me 3 rupees for stealing it without being seen? Ram Bharosa gave the boy a long sad look. You're a sharp boy, he said. You'll come to a bad end. I'll give you 2 rupees. 3, said the boy. 2, said the old man. You don't really want it. I can see that, said the boy. Wretch, said the old man. Evil one, darkener of my doorstep. Fetch me the umbrella and I'll give you 3 rupees. Okay, so that draws us towards the end of my session. And so I would really recommend, that you could read, during rainy days, you could read stories by Ruskin Bond. And they take you into a completely different world. And hopefully after this session, we can, all sit back and, enjoy the beautiful gifts that nature has to offer. And, actually cherish them. Thank you all for watching. Bye.